Hello, welcome to my presentation. It's on soil carbon sequestration through sustainable agriculture to improve soil health and mitigate climate change. So what is soil carbon sequestration? It's basically the practice of increasing storage of carbon in the soil, but not just the soil, also plants, trees, fungus in the soils, microbes, etc. In the soil, there's like a balance between carbon inputs and losses. The inputs are things like animal plant matter, detritus, fertilizer, microbes, etc. And your losses are through erosion, decomposition, respiration. We'll talk more about those shortly. There are several factors which impact the amount of carbon the soil can store. The soil type has a big impact, so does climate, including rainfall, amount of sunlight, heat. What we'll be focusing on is the management, of course, of the soils. So why does it matter? In the context of climate change, it's very important. The soil holds 3 times more carbon than is in the atmosphere at the moment, and agriculture is responsible for a quarter of all human-induced greenhouse gases each year. That's a big deal. Also, climate change causes this feedback loop of soil respiration increasing, which causes more climate change as carbon is released into the atmosphere, and so on. So it's a problem. It's also very important for soil health. So, organic carbon is the main component of soil organic matter, which is critical for soil health. It's critical for production of healthy plants, healthy crop. You can see in the graph here the chemical, biological, and physical processes that are involved, which carbon is involved in. And also, soil erosion is a massive problem. Organic carbon plays a massive role in preventing erosion. It increases the aggregation of the soil and also makes it hold more water, which makes it more resilient to erosion. Half of the world's topsoil is already decimated in the past 150 years, gone. 80% of agricultural land suffers from moderate to severe erosion, which is just a massive amount. It's a serious problem. We're not managing soil sustainably, as you can see. And so what are the benefits to soil sequestration? First of all, socioeconomic benefits, especially for lower income nations, or it could be massive. Uh, you know, more carbon in the soil can be the difference between just making enough food to survive and making enough food to survive and enough to sell and make money. Expand your business. It can, especially in areas where soil is very degraded, it can make a massive difference. Another benefit is food security. Population's increasing, which means there will be an increase in food demand, and with an increase in food demand, you need more production of food, which will have greater impact on soils. We're already treating the soils in an unsustainable manner, so this is just going to make things worse. As we know, the population is going to go to over 10 billion, so that's the thing we need to think about. Just a quick critical note about food security. There's already 1 in 9 people going hungry. Over 700 million people are obese. 1.3 billion tons of food is wasted every year. There is enough food to feed everyone as it is, and probably would be if there was more people on this planet. It's just the way we distribute the food, and the political and economic systems don't allow us to do so properly. I just want to mention that we could be feeding everyone already, but we're not. So how do we do it? Conservation tillage is an option. That involves not tilling the soil, instead just leaving last year's crops on the soil to protect it as a kind of barrier from the elements. This reduces soil erosion, your fuel consumption because you're not ploughing it, which reduces your costs, and it increases water conservation. As this material decays, it also increases the nutrients in the soil as well. So also there's mulching and residue management, which is similar to conservation tillage. You're taking organic matter, you're putting it on the surface of the soil, protecting from the elements, etc. It's good paired with conservation tillage. So there's also the idea of applying manure to the fields. Uh, this adds carbon to the soil, sure. It also reduces soil erosion and waste, and in the same way it does mulching and conservation tillage, it does, protect from the elements, etc. Although there are a lot of problems with this. Pollution, methane, is a big issue. It's actually killed farmers in the past. It's a toxic gas. It's also really bad for the environment, worse than carbon dioxide. There's also pathogens in manure, funnily enough, and high salt levels, which come from the diets of the farm animals. Compost is a safer alternative. There's also agroforestry as an idea, sometimes called farming in 3D. Uh, it's better for nutrient cycling as the trees take up the nutrients and carbon storage in trees. It leads to a rise in productivity and also a rise in yield. It also gives space for wildlife and predators who deal with pests. And the problem is it's quite a complex way of farming, and a lot of farmers would need to be trained up in order to make this kind of work. I'm also going to talk about some international initiatives. Just to tell you, like it's not. This is going to talk about how it's not just an ecological problem. You need to push economic and legislatively in order to get anywhere with this kind of thing. The science isn't enough. You need to actually inform people about it. The first initiative we have is the 4 per 1,000. They were launched 5 years ago. Um, their whole thing is that they want 0.4% annual growth for stocks of carbon in the soil. The idea here is that it will actually slow down and stop the increase of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. They're trying to get everyone involved, from farmers to researchers, etc. And we also have the Carbon Cycle Institute. Their main thing is their training and educational programs they get with farmers, and they, uh, get them involved in carbon farming. It's really good, and it's especially with agroforestry, it's something that's very important. Uh, Sustainable Soil Alliance, they are very active with the current government in the UK. They are really wanting to get people active in politics. They also they supported and helped develop the UK Conservative government's 25-year environment plan. Uh, I don't know what that says about them necessarily. So, in conclusion, it's not so easy. There's a lot of hurdles, not just ecological, but also political uh, and economic. Um, it requires international cooperation. We need the political will and public support in order for this to happen. The governments aren't going to do this on their own accord. They're only going to do things that is going to get them votes at the end of the day. So that's it. If you've got any questions, please ask. Thank you very much.